All right.
Hello,
Hello.
hello. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Daryl, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host Tawana Lee, and our very special guest today, Mr. Philip Payne. We are here with Innergy Inc. and formerly known as Inner Light Incorporated, and our Thrive Live programming. We are talking to real people with real situations and real solutions, and so we are so excited about this conversation that we're going to have today with Mr. Phillip. And we're glad that we're able to share it with you. We hope that you will share this video, like it, join our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, like our pages, and get to know us. And this program is brought to you by the Health HIV and the DC Department of Health. So we are excited to be here with you. And so, Tawana, you want to say hello?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for watching. That's it. That's all I got. Hello, Philip. I look forward to hearing your story.
How you doing? It's nice to meet you.
You too.
Yes. All right.
All right.
Well,
So without further ado, please, everybody, let's turn our eyes and ears and our hearts to Mr. Phillip.
all right. How you doing? My name is Philip Payne. I'm 49 years old right now. I grew up in District Heights, Maryland, with my grandma, and then I later moved to Washington D.C. But as growing up as a youth and a baby, my grandmother was raising me from the time I was probably like 18 months up until like 14, going on 15. So I didn't really know my mom growing up. And I was taken basically from my mom by my dad and my stepmom, which my stepmom was the babysitter at one time. So all of this came to me later in life, as I met my mom growing up. And by the way, I didn't even meet my mom until I turned 31. We'll get to that later. But so here I am. I grown up. I was told my father has one eye. First of all, I love my father to death. Both of my parents are deceased right now, but my father has one eye. I was real close to him, and I used to always ask how he got, what happened to his eye. He always used to tell me he was in a war. Something, he was in a war and this happened. He got shot in the eye and this and that, but he didn't never tell me the real story, which is that when I was a baby, my mom was pregnant with me, and my father was probably like 4 years older than my mom. So he was sneaking through the window to see my mom. That's what he was actually doing. He was sneaking through the window to see my mom, and my grandfather caught him one day coming out her window. So, I mean, I know he had these little talks with my father before about sneaking in his daughter's window. You know what I'm saying? To come and see her. He asked her to knock on the door like a man if he wanted to see my mom. So, just to make a long story short, my father was caught coming out the window of my mom's window. At that time, she probably was like 8.5 to 9 months with me in her stomach, like she still had me. But anyway, my father was caught leaving out the window, and my grandfather started shooting at him with a pump shotgun. One of them shotguns, a pump. And one of the bullets ricocheted off the car and hit his eye. So my mom had felt bad for my dad, because he was in the hospital and this and that. And my grandfather caught him on his property, leaving out his window. So it was just a big old deal there. My grandfather didn't go to jail for it because he was on his property or whatever. But so my mom got mad and she moved. Like, she left her family's home. She left home because, for one, she was having me, and for two, she wanted to still see my dad. So what happened is my grandmother, who raised me, which is my father's mother, she's still alive right now. She's 89. She didn't want my mom to see my dad because her father shot her son. So you know how that go. She didn't want, and at that time, It wasn't all of that. You go and pull them up on the computer and go find your son. But anyway, my my mom had a babysitter come to watch me and my dad while she was going to work. So she was going to work. Well, really, my grandmother sent the woman over there to babysit me, to take care of me as 18 months, and my father they had one eye. So my father started sleeping with the babysitter. So now the babysitter is my stepmom, where she has um, three, two of my brothers and a sister, and I'm the only one to have a different mom. But make a long story short, my mom came home and seen the babysitter was real sick. She had no clue that they were sleeping together. Seeing that she was sick, asked her did she want to take off, and like she would take over. She would stay home for a couple of days and watch us. She said no, she just because she was a bartender at the Quonset. Back in the it's called the Legend. It used to be called the Legend, but now it was called the Quonset. But she used to bartend down there. But make a long story short, um, my mom ended up, my biological mom ended up leaving and go back to work. And her and my father took all the food out the refrigerator and me and the furniture and left. And I never see my mom again until I was 31. And once that happened, he threw me to my grandmother, which was his mom. And he kept trying to chase her and kept being with her. But I was staying with my grandmother. And I used to ask my grandmother, "Where's my mother at?" She was like, "Your mother didn't want you. She was on drugs. She gave you up. So I'm your mother now. And you got to you listen to me. I do. You got to do what I tell you to do." So I'm like, "Well, where's my dad?" Like he'd come around here and there when I got in trouble, but for the most part, I was raised by my grandmother and everything. So it's like then I used to be so bad out in the street. They used to be like, "He's a handsome young man. He got manners, this and that." I just was so mad all the time because it was certain clothes that I didn't want to wear because I am a fashionist.
Philip put himself out of the stream. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm back in.
You're back, sir.
Yeah, but I love clothes, so it was certain clothes that my grandmother wanted me to wear that I wasn't trying to wear going to school because I didn't want the kids to talk about me or joan on me and this and that. So I used to be like, "No, I'm not wearing that, Grandma. I'm not gonna wear that. I'm not wearing that to school." So I started, you know what I'm saying? I started helping people with bags at Safeway, so I could get me a Fila. Cause I was on Fila and Sergio Tacchini bag back in the day. Like those was what I grew up off of. Pumas, the little with the fat laces. I used to be in a breakdance group. Like I wanted to do stuff that normal kids do, but I couldn't really do everything because my grandmother, she wasn't a hip type of grandmother that was down with all of that type of designer stuff. She was like, "I'm not buying." She used to work for the Department of Labor at that time. I'll never forget. She was getting me them earn-ons, the earn-on fila that go all the way across the chest and all the way down the pants leg. I was like, "No, that's not the sweatsuit. I don't want that. It got to have a little F on it." So I used to show her the sweatsuits that I wanted, the shirts I wanted, but they cost so much. Like the sweatsuits was probably like $275 back then, and the little t-shirts was probably like $125. Like she wasn't trying to buy that. So you know, that was my life. Me coming up through that. That was like the '86 through the '88 era. It was before then, but I'm saying when I started remembering, when I started being on my own and being out. So I got to tell you real quick, the reason it made me leave home, right? It was already built up. It was stuff that was building up. And I forgot to throw the part that I was in the street. I was selling drugs at that time at the age of 14. I was I was selling drugs at the age of 14. So I was already making me a little bit of money, and on top of my grandmother was making so much money that I had to pay to go to when I was going to school. I had to pay for lunch, but I didn't want to because a lot of my friends and stuff, they didn't have to pay for their lunch. You know, I mean, they couldn't afford to really pay for lunch. They was getting free lunch, so I wanted my lunch to be free instead of me having to come. And she'd give me like $5 a day every day, sometimes $10 a day. Sometimes I would just save that and give people stuff like buy stuff from out of the candy from the candy people. Before I go to school in the morning, I buy stuff for some of my friends that didn't have money like that, or their parents didn't have money. I just be getting the money. I save all the little money that I got from my lunch and be buying them stuff. But anyway, make a long story short, I used to be in the street like at 14 and 15. And one day I met a girl that was probably like 19 years old. And I was tall and had a little thin beard. Like I'm 6'2" now. I was 6'1" when I was 15. So I've been this height. And a lot of people thought that I was older. Like a lot of women thought that I was older. A lot of guys thought that I was older because I was real tall and I had a little thin beard. So they was like, oh, he old. But the whole time I was like 15 to 16. And it was grown men used to be like, come up to me, want to fight or whatever. And I used to beat them up because I could fight. I always could fight. Like that was in my blood. Like I just always used to fight and defend my friends if somebody try to mess with them or whatever. But yeah, I used to beat up people, older people that try to take advantage of my friends and me. Never for nothing I did. It was always for me trying to protect my friends, you know, coming up.
So
But
Phil, can you tell us a bit about? Thank you for sharing your story. It is there is so much richness in your story about your life and what fuels you today. We want to talk about what fuels you today a little bit in a minute. But
okay.
what are some of the things that challenged you? And did you did you ever seek out any kind of counseling? Did you ever you were selling drugs? Did you ever use and try the things? And did you ever struggle through that? I know sometimes people have that going on as well. Is that a
Yeah.
part of your story as well?
Yeah, I had a part of my life, whereas though I smoked PCP for probably like 1 year. That was probably the only drug besides that, the marijuana. But PCP, I used it. Back then it was called sacks that we used to get. They used to be selling, and I used to be smoking sacks. And then I started selling sacks. Uh, yeah, I was out there, man. Like,
How'd you get out of that? Did you get out of it? Are you still using that, or how'd you get out
oh
of
no,
that?
I got out of that back in the '80s. Like, um, um, one of the friends that I was around, that I was around like gangsters. Like they were gangsters and they were older than me, but it was like I had the brain, it's definitely with the business side of it. I had the brain for it and the heart, and I was humble. You know, people used to think that I was mean and this and that. That's why I like dealing with kids. This, that they say are bad and this and that. It's not that they're bad. They just want to be heard. They just need to be heard and told it. They understand that they've been through that. Like you know what I'm saying? I understand where they coming from. I didn't know with my mom. You probably mad because you ain't see your mother when you ain't wake up and see your mom. No, that's me. I'm mad because of that. I don't know where my father at. I'm mad because of that. Then I got an old lady like this in my brain, like this an old lady and I'm like a Tasmanian devil, like she trying to calm me down. But she can do it because that's my grandmother and I had a certain level of respect that I just knew that I couldn't cross that line with her. Like I couldn't never swing on her or call her out her name or nothing like that. I never did nothing like that. But I did leave home because a girl called and she embarrassed me. A girl called the phone and I told her I was 19. At that time, I was probably like 15. And I told her I was 19. And she called and she asked to speak to me. And I had the other end of the phone up. My grandmother had picked the phone up and I was listening. And she was like, "Can I speak to Field?" And my grandmother was like, "Who is this?" Like in a sassy voice, like, "Who is this?" And she told her name. Her name was Katrina. And she said, "This Katrina." She was like, "How old are you, Katrina?" She was like, "I'm 19." She was like, "Well, my middle name is CD." She was like, CD's only 14 years old, girl. I mean, he's 15, get ready to turn 16. He need to be worried about his books, not no woman. Man, when she said that, I lost it. Like, she hung up the phone. I said, why you embarrass me? She was like, cuz you think you grown, you're not grown, you're not gonna be having these little fast girls calling this house at this age, at that age and this. And I said, all of my other friends, they got girls call their house. They 14 and 15, they got their friends. She's like, well, you gonna be worried about your books. So she said something to the power as though you don't have enough when you can pay these bills in here. Then I was like, what, how much is you be paying the rent? And she told me, I think it was like 680 or something. Man, I went under my bed and got that twice and gave it to her. And she was like, I don't want your drug money. I was like, no, I got this money. I ain't get this money from selling drugs. I got this money from working at Safeway, which part of it was from Safeway and part of it was from drugs. But I gave her that and I left out the house. And I never came back again after that. Uh, I was like, I'll get somebody to go. She thought I wasn't gonna finish school or none of that. I had to go to school because that's where a lot of my money was at. And then I loved my friends that I was going to school with. So I basically was like homeless and left home at that age range and still was going to school though. That's one thing. Like my boys that I was hanging with, they was gangsters and in the street, but they made sure I went to school. Like they pressed me. And he was like, you going to school? And so I'm like, nah, I want to hang out at this. So I ain't even get no sleep. He was like, you still going to school? Like they had dropped me off at school, all that. And then I wanted to wear nice clothes. They used to help me, take me to Georgetown, get me clothes and stuff, and tell me to keep going to school. Sometimes I stay in little crackhead houses and stuff, and change in the morning until I got one of them to use her name to co-sign for me to get an apartment. When she co-signed, I was like 17 on my 17th birthday. I had somebody to co-sign for me to get an apartment. And I was going to school and staying in an apartment, and my friends was coming over, the older guys that I was dealing with, helping me make sure I get my rent paid and helping me out. So
So your commitment to your community comes from a
yeah,
place of the community being committed to you.
yeah, exactly. And understanding what they went through. Like a lot of the guys that I grew up with their fathers. Like a lot of the youth that's out here now, like their fathers grew up with me. I didn't had some of them, some men's made him meet, men's with their father from. They like, man, I was like, why you don't talk to your father no more? Oh, he a drunk. He be over there with the drunks and this. I said, you don't know what your father. Your father was never a drunk. You know what I'm saying? He went through stuff. Like he definitely been through stuff. And then the father, I say that to the father, like, why you don't speak to your son? Or he think he know it all, or he like to walk around with all bad and doing this and that, and I'm not gonna speak to him, and he know it all. And I was like, nah, you gonna speak to them. Like I used to. I'm a firm believer, even that, and to this day, I still invest my time back 40 something years ago where I grew up, like was down in the neighborhood. I'm back down in this neighborhood, like really back down in this neighborhood and been doing, I never did anything bad to anybody in this neighborhood ever in my life. Like I always try to help them, whether it's resources with jobs, teach them how to do pest control, uh, teach them how to be kind to people. And then I still had the gutter in me too. So they look at their unks, he ain't no sucker. Like, and that's what I tell young dudes. If you think you're gonna make it to make it to be out here this age and this point in time, you gotta have these three things. And this with everything on my life. And you can ask any guy that grew up in the street, been in the street, been in jail, any of this. And a lot of people just not here that can't vouch for it because they only had one thing. You have to have streets, business, and a gentleman in that order. Street, business, and a gentleman. That's represent me. When you look at me, that's what I represent right then and there. Street, business, and a gentleman. You can't be a straight street person and ain't got no little bit of business about yourself. You can't be a straight businessman, don't have a little teeny bit of street about yourself. They run all over you, they won't trust you. Then you can't be a straight yes man, a yes sir, no ma'am. No, you have to have all of that all at once. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be a straight street nigga think you're gonna do something. Can't be a straight businessman think you ain't gonna. Oh, I don't have to go in the streets. I don't want to learn that culture and this and that. No, you're gonna get ran over there. They not gonna respect you at all. So you have to be all three of those: street, business, and a gentleman. And I tell the women that they have to be street, business, and classy. You know, you be those three things. Don't think just because you got a business corporate suit on, but you too good to come in the neighborhood or nothing like that. No, you got to be able to bond with those people in that neighborhood too, just as well. You got that business suit on to ask them for some money. So it's all that's how I've been brought up. And then I'm humble. I walk humble. Like I feel as though my God have me. You know, I grew up in the church. Uh, my grandmother used to take me to church when I was younger, Sunday school and this and that. Before I left and went in the street and went on my own, did research, and I did 5 years. For two people I gave some guns to. Like when I was younger, I found some and gave some guns to somebody, and they got caught with the guns, and they told that I gave them to them, which was true. But I didn't think that they would tell on me. I thought that they would probably like I found them, like how I found them, and just gave out. And I had to do time for that because they got caught with them and they told on me. You know what I'm saying? Then that was a whole different life, me being incarcerated, not my family around, none of that. Me, just my reputation, me, myself, and a couple of guys that I used to hang around with. But still, once I was in that cell, I was by myself. Like it wasn't no more. So I be telling people, like, yeah, you got to know who you being around. You got to know what you doing. Can you take that charge? If something happened, can you take that? And then, yeah, and still don't tell on none of your friends or none of that. And still got to deal with inside the system, being a man first and foremost. Yeah, a lot of youngers can't do that. So that's why I walk humble now. That's why I walk like I walk because I've been through it. Like you gotta get through where I've been through. I don't look at the guns and all that. I look past that. Like he need a hug. He need to talk to somebody. This need to be happening. He needs some work. Same thing I go through when I'm feeling my stuff. I done been in that same predicament. Like, what should I do? Oh, this and that. Or I'm gonna ask him, can I do some work? Or can I do this for him? Or, you know. So it's all about respect. This what got me where I'm at right now. Street business and a gentleman. I would not be in this part if I was scared, if I wasn't humble, if I wasn't a good person, if I try to swindle people. I wouldn't be this far where I'm at. 49, be 50 next in September. You know what I'm saying? And I learned so much stuff, man. By the grace of God, I learned so much stuff being in the street and being business as well, the street smart. Yeah, I went to Allen University in Columbia, South Carolina. I had an art scholarship. I got put out for fighting. Made it all the way to a second semester junior for business management. Got put out for fighting. Me and 5 dudes from DC was fighting some guys from New York over some girls. It was the dumbest thing ever. And then they put us out. And I never went back to school. I went to a couple of little classes at UDC. I worked for a pest control company in South Carolina, and that's why I learned how to do termites. I asked him, where could you be the richest off for doing exterminating? He said termites. So I wanted to learn termites. You can't move in a house or sell a house unless you have a termite report. Just the report alone is probably like 350. A lot of people don't even know because it comes into their deal when they buy the house. So I learned how to do termites. A guy named Timothy Ashley, uh, showed me that in Columbia, South Carolina, when I was down there after I left school and got put out. I was just roaming around, and I bumped into him and learned. He found out that I wasn't scared to go up under crawl space, which he said so many people were so scared to go up under a crawl space to look for the termite tube. So that's what I showed him that I was humble, but I wanted the money. I was scared, but I wanted the money at that time. I'm in college. I'm down there. I ain't got nothing. So I was like, yeah, let me learn this trade. And That's how I learned down there. And I
So,
came back,
Philip,
got with another company.
did you ever do any counseling or anything? Did you ever seek out any from the things you talked about going on with your family, being taken from your mom and your dad being gone, the grandmother situation? Did you ever seek any kind of mental health counseling or support at all in your community?
No, I was in a mental health program that they had right here on Willow Terrace. It was contemporary, it was called contemporary. All of us, we was a big class. We was used to go down right in our little meeting room down in our community. We used to go down in the community room. Be like 30 or 40 of us, a nice class. They was showing us you know, um, how to interact, how to sign job applications. It was real. It was doing real good because we was opening up amongst each other, people that grew up around each other. It was just all of us down in the valley. You know what I'm saying? So it was a couple of other people from a couple of other places, but they came down there and we all got certificates. We used to get $40 at the end of the week. Um, it was a real good program, but everybody was supposed to be going to do something. Some people was trying to be nurses. Some people, like I wanted to do peer support. I wanted to mentor kids and youth. I'm like, I'm doing it with the young adults. Um, off of my unemployment from me going to school, I was working at Eagle Academy doing I was mentoring third graders and before and after care, working there before and after care and coaching. Like I started getting one-on-ones when they seen how good I was with the kids. I started getting a one-on-one. Until this pandemic happened. Like God been blessing me to put me in. I think this is my calling. I never knew. I know I like to act. I want to be an actor. I just feel as though I didn't ever get a chance to do that because of me being in the street. But I wanted to box, which is my favorite sport, and I always been sharp, always been good with my hands. Um, and then now I'm doing this business. Like I like to help kids. I like to help people that don't have, and I don't even be having a lot. And I still take off my hat, take my shoes off. I just snuck food out of the house with as though I'm not even supposed to even sneaking people nobody no food. I done got done big jobs, 2,800 here when I was homeless, 2,800 keeping my chemical and stuff in the woods. Like until somebody seen that I was doing that and was like, man, you can keep your chemical in my house in the shed. You ain't gotta keep it over in the woods. I done did the whole Valley Green Day for free. Uh, they still came up with some money because I had to do the whole field, and that's a lot of bags. But I already had that from doing big jobs. I love pest control work. That's my passion because it's like fishing in me. Uh, I learned so much on my own doing it, and it's so much more stuff that you can learn doing pest control. Like I can hold a seminar, I can hold a class just off of the safety part of it. All of my friends, the ones that had money, I used to get them to try to invest. Nobody wanted to They just wanted to get the money fast. Nobody wanted to learn the business. I was like, just learn the business. I can sign off for you to go and take your test for Department of, you know what I'm saying? What is it? Human resource. It's on 51 N Street. Toxic, where you take your business licenses and stuff. But
Okay, yeah.
I was taught by a guy from down there. He taught me how to do termite work. He seen how determined I was. He wanted me to pass the test, and I passed it. Right? So only thing I have to do is keep on renewing my licenses, and I can teach a little class.
So the
But
program with contemporary that you did, Philip, is that something that would you recommend? Do you tell some of the young people that you're working with? We have a comment from Africa Lynn Avian saying counseling is so vital for our community, it shouldn't be overlooked because there's nothing comparable. Do you suggest to some of your young people and the things that they're going through, some of the men that you mentioned who aren't speaking to their sons not talking to their fathers, do you ever encourage them to do any kind of counseling or try to find a way to talk through some of those issues? Is that a part of your how you are empowering your community?
yes, it definitely is. But we need more support. We need more resources. Like we definitely need more resources here in the community to help them get jobs. That's the whole thing. The whole thing of the matter. And I'm just being real from me seeing from being out in the street and working and having my own business. Everything is up and down. But until you learn a skill, and this is what I try to teach them, the ones that's around me, you have to learn a skill. You have to get some type of skill up under your belt. Whereas though uh, you're gonna always have to have some work, and you're gonna always, but they gotta have people that's willing to show them and teach them how to build these skills, even as speaking. Uh, Even as speaking to certain people to make them want to spend some money. I never forget. I was put on a spot in front of my pest control company when I learned how to do termite work because none of the other guys knew how to do it. So he wanted me to give a scenario of how could I make his company some money. And I had to think about it for a minute. I had to think about it like when you hire somebody, like even right now, if I'm recruiting and I'm asking them, I have to have something for them that they want to, it's going to be a challenge to them or something that I see that, oh, that's the one right there. I need him on my team. You have to see that ambition in the person before you hire him. And that's what I be trying to tell people. Learn something out of whatever it is. And you'll watch the ambition. But going back to where he asked me, he said, how could you make my company some money? I said, there's a lot of ways I can make the company some money. I said, like if I'm in somebody's house, right, and I'm exterminating for roaches, right? I'm in there for roaches. I'm gonna pull the stove back. I'm gonna pull the chairs back. I might see some mouse droppings back there too, but I'm there for the roaches. So you know what I'm gonna tell them? I'm gonna say, you know what? You know I see some mouse droppings back here. I can get rid of this. For a small fee, I could put it together for the roaches and for the mice droppings. I don't see the mice, but it's droppings right here, so they're around here somewhere. You can look at all these droppings. That's getting them to go with our company. It ain't really making them go. It's just letting them know what's going on and that they didn't have. They knew they didn't know anything about. So I'm just showing them this what y'all not looking at. You looking at the roaches, but I pull this back. You see this? You got other stuff back here. I can get rid of all of that. And you got holes down here too. That means they somewhere. So that's by meaning getting somebody to making somebody to spend some money with your company. And that's how I made people spend extra money. Tire people do it all the time. When you go get your oil change, that's what they tell you. You need your tires balanced. This need to happen. They try to get you to spend more money. You got to be the one is it's your money. You be like, oh man, I'm just here for the tires now. But most women, that's what they would do. They would, oh, go ahead, change the oil too. Change the oil, rotate the tires. And you just there for one little thing, just like a Walmart. You can't go in there with just to get one thing in Walmart. So it's about getting people that come on like that. That's how I get my youth. They gonna follow me. First of all, this pain. Like I can wear something. Somebody else probably never be caught wearing it. But being as though I'm wearing it, I have an audience. I have people that's going to follow me because they know the type of person I am. And your character is all you have. Is another thing I tell youngins. Don't be mean to all these old people and then think now when the police come that you supposed to go in their house or they supposed to be like, oh, he was always a good child. This and that. Your character is all you have. That's what carried me a long way. I got old people that can vouch for me down here in the valley inside. Has he ever been disrespectful to you? Has he ever tried to steal from you? Has he ever been just punching people and doing stuff reckless? No, he haven't. He's a gentleman. He always been there. He always helped me with my stuff. Miss Galinda, who they want you to talk to, been down here for over 50 something years. Uh, Love me to death. Love when I was taking my and you could go to the kids too. See, that's another thing. I had to get on a young lady one down here one. She thought because she had a nice shape and she probably be watching or if she know who I'm talking about. But she ran for ANC commissioner and said, "Man, Phil, why don't you run for me?" I said, I won't. I'm not gonna sign this when I never seen you do nothing with the community. I haven't seen. I said, have you? We started taking it there outside. So I said, have you ever Treated the whole ice cream truck, all the kids, and all the ice cream. Have you ever ordered pieces for everybody in your building? Have you ever gave out coats and anything? And I said no. I said your building barely like you. The older people barely like you. You know what I'm saying? You mean to them. I said I'm not going to sign anything. When I start seeing you doing stuff for the community, then yeah, I will. If anything, I should be running for ANC commissioner if you want to be. So guess what? We talked not too long ago. She seen me promoting the Valley Avenue Day. She was like, you know, I ain't ANC commissioner. And, the 20th, you can run. You can go ahead and run, and I'll help you campaign. I said, oh, that's funny. You want to help me now, huh? I said, yeah, but I've been doing this stuff, man, for the kids. I was taking my unemployment money that I was getting every week from my job. My unemployment when I stopped working at the school system was getting that little $800 every Wednesday. Guess what I was doing? Taking 10 people out to eat every Wednesday and talking to them. 10 people in my community. One, they said, bad, don't take him. Oh, watch out when you hang with them, Phil. Yeah. And then they used to tell me that, but then the people would tell them, you better watch out for Phil. You don't know he crazy too. Like, y'all sitting there saying, he's like, oh, he's always been nice. Yeah, that's because you don't know my background. That's that street business and gentleman. You feel what I'm saying? You know the business part and the yes, ma'am, and the no, sir. You don't know the struggle of what I've been through, and if I get in the corner, how I got to defend myself or things of that nature. So yeah, that's how I made it thus far. It's still your character. You have to be able to talk to people. You have to be convincing to people. How you gonna ask somebody for $1,000 and you're not convinced? How? You asking these people for their money? How? Do you be nice to them? You asking them to sign this petition for you? What you done? I said everybody in this neighborhood can tell you. Everybody. You can't even go past two people to say he haven't helped or he haven't done with my own money before they was even selling drugs, before I was even
So
doing
I think
anything out of my pest control money. Here, put this in your pocket. Here, let's go eat. All 10 of us. I'm getting called names, all that. The haters coming out. They just use you. Feel scared of them. Phil ain't scared of them. I understand what it feels like not to have the money or have a job at the time with somebody around me that I be look up to and watching their back and little things just being around them helping out. Uh, that's what I know how I feel. So I'm giving back. That's what I've been doing.
So,
And it's not hurt.
Mr. Payne,
Yes.
yeah, I love your story. You got me over here trying to hold in my laughs. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna go backwards real quick. And as the
Uh-huh.
only female here today, and
Okay.
we be talking about character, right?
That's
So the
right.
comment that women, mostly women, when they go to the auto shop and then they be like, "Go ahead and change that and go spend all
Yeah.
that extra money," we need to
Yeah.
dial that back real quick,
Yeah. We
and
definitely
we're gonna
do.
say that it's not mostly women. We're gonna say it's mostly people who just aren't present and aware of what is occurring to them, because that is
Okay.
exactly what it is. They're trying to get you to spend more money.
Yeah.
Me? No, I came here for an oil change. I know it's not
Yeah.
time to get my tires rotated. We're not finna
Yeah.
do that right now. No. Now,
Yeah.
if I'm in a rush, or no, if I'm not in a rush, if I feel like I got all day and I know that my 6,000 miles or whatever it is today is coming, why,
Right.
sure, you may do it. But it's not because I'm a woman and because they trick me.
Oh, okay. Well,
No,
thank you.
no.
Well, the only reason I said that is because I done watched my sister do it. I done watched the
Yeah.
lady I was dealing with before. I done watched two of my aunts. Like they all do it, and guess what? They have money too. They have money, and then they're not they don't have men around them either. I'm gonna say that as well. But they definitely do this. Like, and just tell them, go ahead, and then
Mm-hmm.
build them, and then I don't like it. And that's what I seen from the women that I'm around. So that's why I'm just saying that. No offense, but I seen that happen with the women in my family. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Presence
definitely
and
seen it.
awareness. That's what
Yes.
it is. So I see Miss Africa's comments. So he said so much already that speaks to counseling. I don't really have much to say, but what I will do is I'm going to speak about social work in general.
Right.
And everything that Mr. Payne is saying that he does, that he's involved in his community, that he's about this social justice, that he is about, you know, correcting wrongs and being a mentor and like all these things, that is social work. That's what he is doing. And no matter what you've been through, you can turn it around.
Yes.
Also, what you said business, street, and hood. No, street first, street business,
And a gentleman.
and a gentleman. So my husband and I have had this conversation. So I am a school-based therapist here in DC.
Okay.
I'm not from DC.
Okay.
I'm not from the streets. None of that. I'm just, hey, I'm black like you. I've been through things like you and trying to find things which I can connect with the kids and the parents.
Exactly.
So to hear you say how important it is, right, to understand that you can't come in there with your business suit on, but yeah, you asking people to trust you.
That's right.
That comment with my husband's comment mixed together is very important, that we think that just because I look like you, you should be able to accept my help. You should be able to accept my knowledge, my, you know, whatever. And on the flip side, just because you look hood, you speak hood, then you don't have anything to add. So I do think that all of that together is important.
Yeah, I think, Philip, you're breaking up some good fallow ground here, as we say sometimes in the church, right?
Yeah.
Like these ideas that people look a certain way, and that means they are a certain thing, and you can write them off. What you're saying is really important, and I do like Africa also pointed out maybe a little bit, just to clarify between the two of you, that she believes that you were speaking of predatory practices of men, not necessarily the predisposition of women to being tricked. So there, and I think there's something to be said about that. That oftentimes, it's happened. I've been in places and I caught myself later, sometimes after the fact, right, where I went to Jiffy Lube and they offered me 15 different things that I didn't really need, but I got 5 of them. Some of them I said no to, but some of the other ones I didn't. And once in a while, though, they will say, you really ought to think about this, like changing an air vent or something, or a filter, and they pull out all this stuff, and it's like
that the color-coded thing. And if it's yellow or orange,
this is why you can't breathe, sir. This is why you have problems with your breathing, because your vent, look at all this stuff that came out of your filter, right? But I think Africa is right. There are predatory practices that these folks are doing, and that people, as Tawana would say, can be subjected to being hoodwinked, if you will. And I love your conversation about being street aware, being business aware, and also being classy, or being a gentleman, or what have you. I like classy for male and female, right? That we should be about some class, about our culture, understand who we are, where we come from. One of the things that I've told people, and I tell young people all the time, everything that we have in this country, particularly in most of the world, comes from Black ingenuity and Black genius.
Exactly.
Every science, written language, music, astrology, astronomy, mathematics, hieroglyphics, art, all of this comes from Black ingenuity.
That's right.
We were in Africa and places of black areas. We were the first to do these things. So our young people have to know, our seniors, our older folks have to know that it isn't that you can't do it. You don't know how to do it yet, but it is your genetic DNA to be able to thrive and do these things. That's why we do this show called Thrive Live, right? So I love what you're doing in your community. Want to just jump right back again and throw Tawana any other thoughts or comments you want to throw out to Mr. Payne about his work, or about the importance of counseling and therapy and getting mental health and substance abuse treatment, because I know you talked about having sold some drugs. You mentioned about marijuana. We didn't ask about that. How has that been for you? Is that something that you have continued on? Did you move away from it? What's the story around that?
Well, I done been left that alone for years and years now. I done left all of that alone. Now my wine and my little drink here and there, I still, it's hard. I'd be lying if I say I just completely stop everything. But as far as drug stuff, I stopped that years and years and years ago. But I
And
don't
why
knock
was that? What changed for you? And again, just for those of you that are watching, this is a no judgment zone. We are not in any way saying people what you should or should not do. And we want to eliminate the stigma associated with people that are using any kind of substances or have mental health challenges, that these are a part of life. And if you want to do something or get some support in that area, that's why this is here. You can call the DC Department of Behavioral Health line, 1-888 We Help, 7 We Help, which is on your screen. But Mr. Phil, what's your take on all that?
I just tell people be straight up. See, you got to go through something to know something. I don't like to listen to people that haven't been through anything, especially the things that I'm asking them about. And that's basically what young kids, the young generation need to know. That they need to feel comfortable. Like I make them feel like a comfort zone. Like I could talk to Unc, he can relate. You know what I'm saying? I might don't judge them why they got it. They burning their little J, and I got my little wine and I'm listening to them. If I could direct them to do something positive or to help somebody or don't put themselves behind bars. That's gonna be the first thing that I do first. You know what I'm saying? Before any type of altercation, I'm gonna try to talk you out. I used to do this with my cousins. I used to say, "Oh, he just drunk. He just wanted to test it. He twisted now, so he built up that anger he got in him to try to see to make me want to fight him." And I'm trying to talk him out of it the whole time because I know he really don't want to do it, and he's just turned to another thing. Like I had to ask certain people that used to deal with PCP what made them deal with PCP. I had a lot of people that lost people, almost lost their life. Their friends lost their life. They turned to that. You know, those was one of the reasons why I started using PCP back then, because of things in my life that I was seeing that a child wasn't supposed to see, that I was seeing through my vision and me being out in the 88 era, in the 87 era, which was real bad. I always tell a lot of them, I was like, yeah, you ask your father, you think now was bad. You wouldn't. I always point them out. I say, you wouldn't have made it. They like, why would you for real? I said, no, you like to run to your mother and stuff and your daddy real fast, and you didn't have all that. And this and that. You had to be a man right then and there. You were doing man things like this. You got to be a man. Ain't no, let me go ask them, is it okay? And this and that. And then the jail system, like, yeah, ain't no more cruising. Oh, I've been riding with my boys all this time. No, you by yourself now. Can you be a same man and humble yourself? Like when you swing on dudes, when you deep with your friends, now you by yourself. Can you swing on dudes again? Why you ain't got nobody with you? Okay, well, if you can't do that, ain't no use to telling me that you go hard and you a gangster and this and that. No, let me see you do stuff by yourself. Because when you go to that jail, you're going by yourself, you know, unless you bringing some people down with you, then you still going to have some stuff to deal with, but you still going to be by yourself. So I just try to give them scenarios to look at before they do certain things and think about your parents, your kids. I used to scare my nephew. I know he hate jail. You know what I'm saying? He like to do bad stuff, but he hate jail, but he love his girl. I was like, well, when you go to jail, Keith, I'm gonna be making sure Sheila got some groceries over there. I'm gonna look out for her. Stop playing with me, Unc. He mad. He like, oh, stop playing with me. Don't play with my girl. I said, yeah, you gotta think about that when you get ready to do something wild out in the street. That's what you gotta do. Because it's gonna be somebody gonna step right in as soon as you go in. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just teaching them how to think first. Think. You gotta think in your character. Stop trying to be something you're not. That's one thing I love about my kids. Like all my kids got there. I taught them this out of anything. I taught them respect. That's for one. So a police can't say he was disrespectful. He did this. When you do something to my child, I know what's happening. It was you. Because they gonna let me know. I know my child. See, some people don't know their child. And then they trying to be friends with the kids now these days. We gonna get on another topic about that, but yeah, we need to get that out there. These parents with the that's just Johnny. He loves to walk around with that on him, and she's gonna talk back because her mouth is bad like mine was when I was that age. No, see, this way it gotta be coming from out this mouth. The people that's in that community who they look up to. All this, I'm not talking to them. They bad. They got all. They ain't gonna jump me when I turn around. Oh, you have to be humble. You have to be humble these days out here with these kids. The first sign of they think you trying to be like them or uh, trying to be something that you're not. They gonna run all over you. They gonna run all over you. That's why
Phil,
everybody can.
you're doing some great work in your community, and one of
Yeah,
the things that you said, it resonates strongly. And in our last episode, we talked about doing a session with parents of trauma raising children without trauma. And
yeah,
so this whole conversation about how parents are trying to be friends with their kids and all of that and stuff. So we definitely want to have you back and be a part of that conversation and that panel with us to talk about how we
definitely.
raise our children of this next couple of generations without carrying forward the drama and things that many of us or our parents may have had happen to them that we
Yeah,
pass on. Tawana, before we close out today, got to give you some more time to offer a thought, comment, ask another question with Mr. Phil and Africa. Before you go, Tawana posted another comment that says the root of substance abuse is linked to what took place that caused us to take that first substance. It's all fun and games until it's not fun anymore. Then at
that's
the
right.
rock bottom, we realized something led us down this path. The fun wasn't as innocent as we thought. Thank you so much. And Africa, you coming on this thing and giving us these comments. We're gonna have you on here in a minute. You got
Right.
some
Thank
personal.
you,
I
Africa.
happen to know who you are, Africa Lynn. So we're gonna get you on one of these sessions and have you as a guest co-host with us because you got some things to say, and I think it's brilliant and you are amazing. So Africa Lynn, we see you and we'll be in touch with you too. But Tawana, what you got
Yes,
for us?
bless you, Africa. Thank you.
Um, no, really, I don't. I don't have really good closing comments. Um, no, really, I don't. I did have questions written down here, but your story it just flowed so well that I don't want to take us backwards.
Thank you so
So I
much.
would just say thank you for your story. Thank you for your liveliness. Thank you
Yes,
for
thank
giving
you.
back to your community
Yep.
and being so involved and being the mentor and the stand up guy.
Yes, I'm trying to do better and better. I'll be 50 in September the 22nd, God's willing, inshallah. I'll be 50. So I'm looking forward to that this September. I love hanging out with my kids lately. They're all grown. They like to hang out with me and keep me inspired. I like the youth in my neighborhood to come up to me and always say something inspiring, and it just feel good. I don't have no worries like far as that. Um, my worries be minor stuff, but far as my community, I have no worries. Like I'm comfortable. I feel good. I feel as though I'm doing a good job. I feel as though not too long ago I was over in a different part of the world where was still here, but my mind was over somewhere else. It wasn't where it is now. So that's why I'm saying you're never too old to change. You're never too old to learn knowledge. I just keep learning and reading and learning and learning and being better. I had a little counseling, a little teeny bit, but not more than I counsel myself and going through stuff and talking to good people as yourselves. It's about me. See, I'm a businessman. See, I like to do business. I'm always on business. I don't care. I introduce myself. I done had people mugging, like literally making an ugly face when I come into it. They somewhere in a party and I'm with somebody and they done ran and gave somebody else a hug and I see a person feeling they might be feeling intimidated. Guess what I do? I walk straight to them. How you doing, sir? Philippine, what's up? All right, what's up? All right, I like them shoes. All right, how you doing? You know, that's just me. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get your energy out. Even if you mad, I'm gonna make you be like, oh, this boy don't know that I'm mad right now. He just came up and told me how I'm doing and introduced himself. That's what I do. I was taught that in business, but it came with a business card behind it. Now I just want to see a person smile, or just feeling good about themselves. Life too short for everybody to be frowning and doing all this and that. I'm a people person. I like to put people together and we make money and do business.
Well,
That's the type of person I am.
we definitely thank you for being here with us today on this Thrive Live podcast. We will be back again on Monday with a new
Yes.
guest for a new session. So, Phil, thank you for being here, Philip, and Tawana, thank you for being the amazing co-host that you always are. Those of you that are watching, this program is sponsored by Health HIV and the DC Department of Health and the DC Department of Behavioral Health. And so we are really glad that you joined us for Thrive Live. We are working here to end the stigma against
Yes.
social issues, mental health, substance use. We're trying to just bring our community together in a new way. We are talking about real people with real issues and real solutions. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much.
All right.